This are the 7 steps. I'm going to get to those in a second, but this is the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of the program, and which have very little to do with the boxing other than building your own personal foundation of self-confidence, of self-awareness, what you're capable of, and in the boxing ring, what you're not capable of. But these are the steps, and we will go through them based on a combination of my opinion. Somebody had asked me, I think, or somebody had commented that they had heard something about the deals that were projected for 2019. One of you earlier? Well, these are the report just ended for 2018, which were the top sectors that were invested in, and this is just for your perusal. See, if you had been here a year ago and you had listened to me, the operative word is listen to me, you would have partaken in this. Take one and pass it around, please. Now, what's the takeaway from our pugilistic endeavors? Anybody? Yes, sir. It's fun. Pardon?
Unfit. Yes.
Hellman said, cardio is the preeminent importance to any martial arts. In my opinion, especially boxing. And for those of you that are going to go back, and I've been telling the YouTubers this and the seminar guys, and do anything to step outside your comfort zone, I prefer you box. And if you're a big guy, box with a flyweight or lightweight that can make you react quicker. Okay, and you'll build up your cardio and your reflexes. And although I've never, other than when I was in the military, I've never taken any formal training in martial arts. It was obvious, because it's a one round event. The kids got off the mark right away because we only had one round. But then invariably, not all of you, but most of you ran out of gas toward the end of that one round. And that's why we don't have 3 rounds and 5 rounds and all these suggestions that I get on YouTube from these guys. Why don't you do 3 5 rounds? Well, that's easy for them to say on that side of the YouTube. Yeah. It's not so easy when you're physically there, as you well can point out. Fitness aside, some of you, maybe all of you, had butterflies before you got in the ring. And my butterflies vis-a-vis doing deals has disappeared a long time ago. But when I used to try to get myself jacked up, I told you I watched The Last Samurai all the time. And I used to slap myself in the face to get the blood in my face. And I used to hit my legs. And you see boxers do that, and wrestlers and MMA guys, because they want to get the blood circulating. And you dry your hands though when you go in, so when you don't shake hands, you don't have a wet grip. But you guys did fine in the gals. For the first time, we had a couple of gals, which is the first. And so I'm sure I'll take some heat for that on YouTube. I'll just send the responses to you two ladies and let you respond to them instead of me telling them to fuck off. But it's good experience. It's good experience for you, and it's that which does not kill me makes me stronger. Certainly we didn't have anybody near death here in boxing. By the way, this are the 7 steps. I'm going to get to those in a second, but this is the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of the program, and which have very little to do with the boxing other than building your own personal foundation of self-confidence, of self-awareness, what you're capable of, and in the boxing ring, what you're not capable of. But these are the steps, and we will go through them based on a combination of my opinion of what you've learned in the first 2 days and what you've written in your homework heretofore and what you'll write tonight. I'll adjust, either 10 slides on this, 2 slides on this, 5 stories on this, etc., to make sure that I push as many of the buttons, or as Sally would say, as many of the buttons as I possibly can. And since you're going through the new format with more webinars, more interface with the successful kids that have come through in the last year, some of which as recent as October and August. We're not talking about industries, opportunities that were in 1999 or 2008 or 2014 or 15. We're talking about stuff in the last 12 to 18 months that have even gotten better. And as I've said ad nauseum, I mean, the opportunities for QLA are just pretty phenomenal, pretty fucking phenomenal. They just are. And again, remember the de-risking. When you're explaining the model, you're not going to say the moving parts of the model. You're not going to do all that shit. But as soon as you say free cash flow covers debt service, some of the kids even add 1.5 to 2 times. I don't recommend that, because then you're going to bring them a deal that only 1.25 times, and they're going to have written down that you said 1.5 to 2 times. So I wouldn't elaborate on how many times cash flow, but when free cash flow covers debt service, and they will intellectually understand, and you're buying revenue, they will intellectually understand, because even the dumbest banker is numerate, meaning they're pretty good with numbers, that you unlevered, de-risked. Because somebody has already spent all that money producing that first 50,000, 100,000, 500,000, first $1 million in revenue. And when they understand that, it's a slam dunk. It's a piece of cake. And to quote again my daughter, easy peasy. But when we go through this, and some will be inclined to go from skip step 1 and go directly to number 4, creating your dream team. But until you've built up, and it's a logical sequence, every step you do, you get better for the next step. And every step you do, you get better for the next step. And it's like in American football, you learn, first of all, you have to have cardio. Second of all, you have to learn how to block and tackle. And then you learn how to hang on to the ball, run with the ball, and get in the goals, or get goals. And the system is built like that. And when I reverse engineered it, when I came up with QLA, I decided this is what I got to do 25 and a half years ago. I, with a very bright friend of mine named Charles Grubbs, sat down and we reversed how I came up with all these things. And the basis is you don't need any money, okay? And I've already said, for those of you that have a little money, it's easier, because you can do a bridge that might be considered too far, because you've got, some money in the bank. But the system is based for zero money. And again, you want your dream team, you want them for their experience, the credibility, the time that they're going to invest in you, but not their money. And when we actually go through the script starting tomorrow, where the perfect words out of their mouth are, yes, I'm interested, if I can add value, subject to conflicts. That's a professional answer. If they don't add subject to conflicts, then there's something normally awry. But any of these people that you're going to talk to will understand subject to conflicts. Meaning, are they in a business that's competing, et cetera, et cetera. It's a slam dunk. It's a slam dunk. Any questions about, yes, sir?
Creating your personal foundation, is that like a legal entity?
No. Your personal foundation, how you think about yourself, your emotional bank account, that's what I mean, not a personal foundation. You don't create a legal entity till you get down to your external growth, your buying revenue. And again, you're going to be asked, because remember, most of these guys and gals are retired, they have nothing to do and all day to do it in. So they're going to want to meet, but you got shit to do. And so you don't meet until you've got deals on the table that you can discuss. And that's when you go through the incorporation of whatever kind of form of company you're going to use, depending on, in Germany, GmbH, a limited company in this country, subchapter S, subchapter C, LLC in America, and you will ascertain what kind of company you're going to form based on the industry you're in and the individual parameters and requirements. Dr. Joe already said earlier today, you can't transfer the ownership of a doctor's practice unless it's a doctor, okay? And so there are nuances in different slivers of different industries. And so you'll form that company. And that's when you do your management agreement, your contracts with your board members, compensation, with the honorariums, meaning what they're going to get paid to come to board meetings. When you're recruiting your dream team, occasionally, especially in Europe and especially in Britain, they'll say, what's the time commitment? Because somebody wrote a book someplace at Oxford 30, 40 years ago that you can be on 5 or 6 or 7 boards based on a time commitment. That was before the internet. So that dog really doesn't hunt anymore, but a lot of the old geezers have seen that book. And normally your answer will be, and this is a truthful answer, in the beginning the time commitment is maybe 4 or 5 hours a month, and that's the truth, okay? As we gain traction and as we gain cash flow, that time commitment will grow. And there's 2 kinds of directors you're going to recruit. There's non-executive directors and there's executive directors. Non-exec means they are not line officers. They can't sign for the company, okay? The non-exec directors will be your 2 industry experts, and we break all this down tomorrow, but anyway, I'm just telling you now. Your 2 industry experts, your accountant, and your lawyer on the board. Those are non-exec. And if you type non-exec directors wanted on LinkedIn, I mean, you'll get fucking thousands of requests, okay? The executive directors are your CFO, your CEO if it's not you, and that's really, and sometimes you'll have depending on the kind of business you're going to buy, you'll have perhaps a chief operating officer. The other non-exec director is your chairman. Your chairman will be a non-exec. And I told you, you can list yourself as a CEO, for those of you that have some resume, but I would just list yourself as founding director. And since Zuckerberg made this so popular, founding director, now it's readily accepted. Nobody asked you, what does that mean now? 20 years ago when we listed it, we had to write War and Peace to explain what a founding director meant. But since Zuckerberg and a few of the other Silicon Valley guys have described themselves as founding director, they hardly anybody asks. Now, if somebody does ask, you're talking to an inexperienced junior person. We tell you how to filter down to who you want to talk to, because at the bank, you don't want to talk to a suspect. You want to talk to a prospect that can actually make a lending decision. And when you call the banks and say, this is Bank of America, and I said, I'd like to talk to somebody in healthcare, so they'll put you on to a business generation officer, which is just a salesman. And he'll try to divert you to the right area. And the first questions, and again, we have scripts for this, the first questions you ask, are you still in the lending mode in healthcare? I see that you just did a giant ad in the Wall Street Journal for $7 billion in healthcare, okay? And they'll say yes. And then he'll say, or she'll say, what area of healthcare? And you'll say radiology, or you'll say assisted living, whatever you say, okay? And they'll say yes, just a moment, and put you on hold, and then she'll read her script and figure out who to divert you to. And then they'll come back to you and say, hi, this is Sally again, and I'm introducing you to Joe, and he is in assisted living. So then Joe, you're getting Joe, and so that's when the call really starts. The script really starts, and the scripts are short. Some of the scripts, they're just bullet points. And of course, I say this tongue-in-cheek, you have to string the bullet points together. One bullet point will say free cash flow, and another bullet point will say bedpans. And you got to put a sentence in between. You don't just say... Now, you laugh, guys, but I've seen it all. You write the letters to these people. I tell you not to say anchor chairman. You'll go, dear anchor chairman. Dear anchor chairman. That's not what he is. He's anchor to you, but his title is not anchor chairman. Okay? And then some of the other templates have my vulgarities in it. And occasionally, because you just cut and paste, I'll get a nasty phone call from somebody, from Barclays, because somebody just cut and pasted something from mine that I used. And what I write and what you write are 2 different things, because I can get away with murder almost. And so, but you'll have to string these sentences together. So now you're talking to the guy, the business development guy, and he'll say, are you still making loans in and let's say assisted living, and they'll say yes, and he'll ask you for a business plan, and I'll say, well, I'd like to come in and meet. We're interviewing, and remember, you're interviewing. And the other script you're going to have is it said, our board, we're an investment consortium. That's what I used. I like investment consortium. Some people say a new investment company. Some people just say NewCo. But I liked investment consortium because it made me sound more important. Me sitting in my office by myself with my fax machine back in the day. Our board has taken the decision to interview all our professional relationships. And so we're reviewing new financial relationships. Currently, our banks collectively give us what I call a deposit relationship. We deposit money, and and this is all in the script, you may or may not give us service even though we deposit money, okay? So you're already putting them on the back foot. And then the script goes on to say, what is your lending limit, secured, unsecured, et cetera, et cetera. And when you set up the meeting to go to the bank, not all the meetings are at the bank, as Tom alluded to, and Josh, who was sitting in the audience, they mentioned the bank, which we're not going to mention here, but we mentioned the bank. You get you will ultimately want to meet those bankers, but the initial interface is vis-a-vis the phone. And they will, and so, but when you go in for the meeting, you will send your executive summary, chairman, all the guys and gals on the board. It's a $22 billion industry, growing at 11.5% worldwide, and we're initially going to dominate the northeastern United States or southern Germany, or wherever the hell you are. And we've done collectively as a board, in our 206 years experience, we've done $37 billion in deals, or some number like that. It's going to be in the billions for sure. And it's going to be, 150 or 200 deals, something like that. So they see this executive summary. Then you go in, when you go to the meeting, and again, we're going to go through this in detail. I'm just giving you a general overview now. When you go into the meeting, but before the meeting, you ask who's going to be at the meeting. Okay. And if they list third assistant vice president that cleans toilets, I'm exaggerating, but I mean, no meeting. Okay. You want somebody that can make a decision at the meeting. Okay. And ideally, a senior credit officer, somebody that can sign the fucking check. Okay. Now, normally, more than one person has to sign checks. Normally, if it's like 5 million or more, 2 or 3 people have to sign off on it. So when you go in the meeting, and some of you will have a pitch deck, PowerPoint, which isn't necessary. And you'll go through the little 4 or 5 of your slides. Some of the guys, some of the engineers, some of the scientists have 50, 60, 70 PowerPoints slides, which is wrong.